I'm Tamika D. Mallory.
And it's your boy Mysonne, the General.
We are your host of TMI.
Tamika and Mysonne's information, truth, motivation, and inspiration.
New name, new energy, but
same old us.
What's up, Mysonne Lennon?
How you doing, Tamika D. Mallory?
Doing good today. Glad to be here.
You can do anything. I like that shirt. That's fire.
Anything.
Anything.
I could be a publicist. I could be an architect. I could be a, what is this here? Veterinarian, an activist, a pilot, a member of the clergy. I could be an astronaut. I could be a physician. I could be an athlete. I mean,
whatever
I could
you
just
want.
be hairstylist.
Yeah, it was a crazy meme that I think.
Well,
Who was it? Was it? It was Benjamin Crump posted, and it was I forgot who it was. It's somebody that was in Congress, I believe. And the white man said, "It's crazy, isn't it funny how a black woman with 20 years experience, all kinds of degrees, can be a DEI hire, but somebody who just worked on Fox News and ain't got no degrees is going to be the Secretary of Defense."
Oh, remember last week I was talking about
that was hilarious.
Is the Secretary of Defense.
Lord have mercy. We in some strange times.
That we are. Well, we got a good show today. We got a good interview. So sorry that our guest was unable to be with us in person.
Had some
travel stuff. But she's going to be coming up, a real powerful interview that I hope that all of you will listen to.
Please listen to this. So today's guest is Miss Sonya Rogers. She is the mother of 5. She is the CEO and founder of Through Our Voices and Girls Rock 2. She is a community activist. She is a leader. She is a mother, and we are happy to have Miss Sonya. How you doing today, Miss Sonya?
Thank you so much, and I'm so blessed to be here with all of y'all. I appreciate you. Thank you. I'm blessed. I'm just trying to stay pushing forward. That's just about it.
Yes. Hi, Miss Sonya. How you doing today, beautiful?
I love you, and how are you? I'm blessed in yourself.
Love you too. We're happy to have you with us today. I know it's every time you have to talk about what you've been through and what your family has endured, it's hard. And we want to acknowledge that we know it's not easy to process and to keep having to relive your story for people to be inspired to do better, inspired to help more young people, inspired to see black men as humans. It's a lot. That's a lot of pressure for one person to carry. And so I just want you to know that it's not lost on us that today, while we are interviewing you, quote unquote, it's more than interviewing. You know, we're really here to just allow you to continue to use your story for your healing and for ours.
And I appreciate that. And I'm going to tell you something. Honestly and truthfully, these tears are not tears of sadness. Honestly, and by the grace of God, these tears are honestly tears of joy, because I've sat in depression for so long. And finally, I'm learning how to deal with it. And I appreciate the talking and the things of that nature.
Yes,
you know, it helps me a lot. So these tears here are tears of joy. I just had to learn to control them. That's all. And they just so happen to come out.
It's all good. I cry all the time. So, Miss Sonya, I mean, there's so many places we could start. And I guess we will end at what you do. But it would be great to hear from you that, you know, just the story of the tragic loss that you have experienced in your family with your own children. Why don't you tell us about that?
Well, I lost 3 sons to gun violence in the city of Newark. My sons were 21, and 20 of age. It's hard, you know. I'm not going to say that, because at the end of the day, especially in a city where we come from, called Newark, New Jersey, you can't be in denial about your child. And I always try to be a parent. And, you know, my oldest son, not on the hands of himself, I allowed him to start being around his father. And, you know, his father introduced him into a life of, you know, gang violence or whatever. But my oldest son, he got killed. And when my oldest son got killed, it was hard to justify because, he wasn't an angel, but he was very respectful. And I can't talk bad about him because that's my son. But at the end of the day, I couldn't be in denial about who my son was in the streets. And that's hard, but it's just the reality of it because I can't say, oh, my son was an angel and I don't think he ever hurt anybody. I don't think that, you know, it deserved to happen to him the way that it did. But if it was going to happen to him, and that's just coming from a mother, that I think it would have happened to him through a whole city, not just where he lived and things of that nature. But overall, that young man graduated out of high school. You know, he was respectful. He just had a street life. And when I talk about my oldest son, I never try to downplay, because I don't want to be ridiculed. I was ridiculed so much by some, people in the Newark Police Department, but I really tried to be the best mother that I could. And not to jump off of subject because it's three of them that I have to discuss. It's a many of us that lives in this city. And I'm not the only person that ever lost a child. And I try not to put all the, I call it shine and stigma on myself because I'm not the only young woman that's hurting in my city. But we really try for our children here. Some of us work, some of us stay at home. It's just the reality that our children are being killed.
Yeah.
And in other places, children are being killed by the hands of someone else, but our kids are being killed by our own.
And that's I think that's what really touched me when I first met you and I heard your story, and you cried and you told the story, and I felt really impacted because I have three sons, right? That's all I have is three sons, and I couldn't imagine losing all three of my, and they all were in close proximity to age. Like, how many years apart did this happen? Like one was lost 1 year, like, because you said they were 20, 21, and 21. So how many years
Well,
apart did it happen?
um, Anthony, and his street name was Ransom. Anthony was shot May the 31st. He had just turned 21 that October before. He stayed on a respirator until June the 21st. And me, with the help of the now mayor, Baraka, elected governor, um, helped me make a decision as well as my family and friends that he had no more brain activity. So on June the 21st, I took him off the respirator. 6 months later, February the 24th of that next year, my second son passed away. 2015, 2 days after, 3 days after Christmas, December the 28th, that's when my baby passed away. And I say my baby because he was literally the baby, the last of the bunch.
Lord.
So, and
Oh,
last year, December was the first year that I ever sat back and I literally dealt with that since 2015 because I kept moving. And so much was happening in 2024. And I said, Sonya, you have to deal with this. You can't let this new year come in and this Christmas come in and act like nothing happened. So I sat by myself and I endured it about what happened to me on that year, on that day. And it wasn't as bad as I really thought it was going to be, but I got it together. I did.
so three sons, all in Newark, right? All three of them were killed in Newark.
Yes.
And has there been any prosecution of those who are responsible for their deaths?
All three of my son's cases are cold. Yeah. It's like I had no fight. Um, I'm not going to say I didn't have any help, but I really didn't know what to do. And it was like a wolf cry. Like you crying out for help, but nobody not listening. And the only person I had to cry out to already had the city he had to run. So you can't give it all to him.
Mm.
So I tried. I really did try. I was 15 years old when I had those kids.
Let's
Well, my
talk about it. Mm-hmm.
I was 15 years old, And at the end of the day, I'm not embarrassed about it. I I talk to Aid a lot. You guys know him, New Direction. I
Mm-hmm.
give a big shout out to them and
Mm-hmm.
Push and all the other organizations out here. Um, I was 15 years old when I had those kids. It wasn't easy. I struggled, I strived, but I stayed. And to be young and to lose children, that's the most hurt and is detrimental feeling in the world, regardless of how you lose your child. And to lose three of them, it hurt pretty bad. But I learned,
Mm.
believe it or not, I learned that God got me.
Mm.
God got me. It's no Tamika, my son, I'm gonna tell you something. There's no other way that I can make it through.
Mm.
No other way.
That's it.
And
That's it.
like I say, I don't only speak on myself, and that's why I try to do certain things. I'm so blessed for Jamila, Dr.
Mm-hmm.
Jamila Davis. I'm so blessed for Tyra. I'm so blessed for my son. I'm so blessed for all these organizations out here because I know these people, and I could turn to them and try to talk because that's what helps me. Believe it or not, talking.
You
Mm-hmm.
know. You
I
know.
gotta talk about it.
What I wonder is, so you still have two other
Right.
children.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I have two beautiful daughters.
Mm.
One of my daughters, she's here. My other daughter lives down south in North Carolina. She works, she's a supervisor at Navy Federal. You know, I was kind of sad when my oldest daughter left or whatever, but I don't blame her. That's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of hurt and pain for a person to try to endure when all you did was try to come up here to save your little brother and pick him up,
Mm.
to take him back. And to have to get a phone call like that when you on the highway to come pick your little brother up is detrimental. And my other daughter suffers from depression. But it's a lot of things that we hide.
Mm-hmm.
Some people might know if you close to us, you might know, but it's a lot of hurt and pain in this. And this is why, not saying that I'm the perfect person, not saying that I'm the perfect candidate, but and not saying if I can do it, but if I could try to help somebody, that's best for me.
Yeah, man. Do you have a therapist? Do you speak to somebody?
I do have a therapist, and I'm gonna tell you, again, Jamila got hooked me up with the young lady. I check on her, but
So you
she
the
really
therapist for the
does check
therapist.
on me.
Well,
She really does check on me.
therapists need therapists.
Yeah,
Everybody needs somebody.
yeah,
Everybody.
I'm just hoping,
yeah.
when I hear, unfortunately, like you said, yours is not the only story like this. This is probably like the fourth or fifth time that I've had a mother say that they've lost
Multiple
multiple
children.
children.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping that somebody is listening. I'm hoping that somebody who's in these gangs and in these streets and that's, thinking about taking somebody's life just hears this. Like, to me, the pain that you expressing, and just, not only the pain but just the fact that you want to utilize your story to try to help somebody else, and you've created this organization that you have to try to stop gun violence. I know that it motivates me to do the work that I do. I know it motivates me to go out there and say, I don't want to hear another mother cry. I don't want to see another mother lose their child. Mothers are not supposed to bury their children. The children are supposed to bury the mother. So I know it motivates me. So I'm just want you to know that your bravery and your strength, even in your tears, are a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna touch somebody. I know there's
Right.
gonna be somebody that hears your story. There's gonna be a mother that hears your story and pushes and grabs her son. Because he might be in the street, like you say, you knew your oldest son was outside and you weren't blind to it, and she might do something to do anything extra to try to save them because she don't want to see that fate. A lot of mothers, and I know this because I speak to a lot of women who have children. A lot of women fear for their kids, especially their
Right.
sons. They really fear for their sons, but they don't know what to do, you know. And hearing your story is gonna make them embrace them a little further, a little more, and say, "Look, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I don't want to lose my son like this."
But I'm gonna
Yeah.
tell you one thing, as a single parent, because
Mm.
it's a lot of us here, you can't give up.
Yeah.
You cannot give up. And it's hard. Oh man, it's so hard. But you can't give up because these black young men have to know that somebody loves them.
Mm.
These kids are feeling the pain of losing people too.
Mm.
And they may not want to talk about it, but it's here. These kids, these adults, and everybody, it's not only people out here losing their children, because I'm going to take a step back. I lost my mother.
Mm.
Yeah,
I lost my mother.
me
It's
too.
like I'm walking around here, no empathy, no sympathy, but it's like I'm walking around here with a ready made up family that I set up ever since I grew up.
Mm.
I could tell you about every single aspect of life, even down to losing a significant other, which was a boyfriend.
Mm. And was your family always from Newark?
Yes, yes,
So how does it
yes.
feel to see Newark now making a real hard turn? It's not yet perfect, long way to go. People still dying, but there is a significant change, and that is because of the work that you and so many others have put in. And of course, having a leader like Mayor Baraka, who is very much so invested in helping young black men and girls and helping any disadvantaged, under resourced young person. How do you feel now, knowing that unfortunately your three sons didn't make it, but somebody else's son will make it because the city is really investing in young people?
You hit the nail on the head. Let me tell you something. I wish my boys could have been here to experience all of this. OVPT, the Brick City Peace Collective. Oh man, New Direction, Push, you, my son, Dr. Jamila Davis, it's one hood. So many organizations out here that you even have. It's all about the seniors and children that's trying to teach people how to cut hair. You have so many organizations out here.
Mm.
I wish. You don't even know how many times I said, I wish my son would have got locked up in federal prison for the rest of his life.
Mm.
Cause
I
he'll still be
wish,
alive.
I wish that these organizations were here, but they were planning on the footwork. They were planning on the footwork. I remember when Keisha Yuri used to just beat the street
Mm.
for nothing.
Mm.
My son, I remember when you beat the street for nothing.
That's right.
Mm.
Tut is home. Shadi, I'm so proud of him. Tamika, you a blessing. It's just so many people that I wish could have just touched my children. I could just see my son now,
Mm.
and like I said, I can't help but to cry sometimes, but these are
Mm.
honestly tears of joy. To talk about three children, sometimes I get emotional, sometimes I don't, but I really want to help impact somebody. I get
Mm.
stagnated a little bit. I really do. I get stagnated because I
Mm.
get scared,
Mm.
because I know that I'm not a Wonder Woman.
Mm.
And I know that I have my breakdowns and my falls too.
Mm.
But I have to learn. I have to learn that it's okay not to be okay.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
That's right.
It's okay
Yeah.
not to be okay. Especially with, and I can only speak for myself, what a person endures. It's okay not to be okay. And in my case, I think I could get that. a little
You
bit.
sure
It's okay
can.
not to be okay.
That's right.
Tell us about your
You know?
organizations that you run.
So through our voices, again, I made through our voices, believe it or not, through our voices came up. One of my girlfriends, her son passed away, but he didn't pass away from gun violence. And so, it would be a lot of things that came up in the city, and it would somewhat be surrounded around gun violence. And she would always say to me, I'm not going. I don't think that's for me. And I'm like, you got a voice. Regardless of how your child passed away, that's your kid.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
You a good mother. I know you loved him. No, you got a voice too. And then I just thought about it. I'm like, through our voices, everybody has a voice because, yes, I bury my children, but I have friends that lost their parents
Mm-hmm.
and they suffer from depression. I have friends that lost their significant other. They suffer from depression.
Mm-hmm.
I have friends that just have lost siblings. They suffer through depression. I have friends that endure what we all endure and they suffering from depression.
Right.
You get it?
Right.
So it's fair to think about everybody.
Yeah.
It's not always fair. It's not always good to be selfish and just, oh, this only about gun violence. This no.
Yeah.
It's about sexual abuse. It's about domestic violence. It's about the trauma and depression of all this stuff.
Mm.
We appreciate it.
My therapist that I talk to, that Dr. Davis introduced me to, not one time has she said to me, Sonya or Miss Rogers, I think we need to talk, maybe you need to come in and get on a prescription or something like that.
Mm-mm.
Not one time.
That's right.
And I'm here to tell anybody,
God is the drug.
oh my God, it's not a prescription out here that can help men. Anybody's broken heart.
Mm.
Well, I will say, because I am an advocate for people getting what they need. So if for some reason you have been, and I don't think people should just take medicine because, I don't believe, it's very difficult to get me to agree to take even a cold medicine or, flu,
Right.
colds and whatever. I'm not into that. My parents were never people who kept medicine in the house. They didn't take medicine. But through my own anxiety, my son's father was killed when my son was 2 years old. I was 18, 19 years old when he died, and he died because of gun violence. And I have also gone through a number of traumas in life. In fact, a book that I have coming out in just a couple of weeks really goes into everything that has happened, all that I endured that led me to a place where I learned my problem, of course, was stress, but it was also learning how to deal with anxiety. And I needed medication. In fact, it helps me tremendously that I have something that helps to regulate all of the emotions that I go through, and I'm grateful for it. And so there are some people out there, and you probably are not one of them, Miss Sonya, because you have found a way to handle your stress your way. But there are people out here who need their prescription, and they need to take it.
And
Take
I'm gonna
your
tell you
prescription.
something, and that's so true. And my apologies for that because you just schooled me on something. Because honestly, maybe that's something that if it was offered or something like that, maybe it would help my anxiety because my anxiety be through the roof. But I'm gonna tell you something. I go back to say this. Listen to your story and what you just said. What makes my story more important than yours? Because it was my children.
Mm.
You have a story. Hurt is hurt and pain is pain.
Through our voices.
Through our voices.
Well, we appreciate you for joining us today. Your story is both heartbreaking and powerful. It's both sickening and an inspirational story. It seems that your story just runs on parallel course because on one side it's sickening because I know that your sons were not born in trouble. They weren't born bad kids. But this society doesn't really provide a lot of opportunities for young black men to stay on the straight and narrow. And anybody who tries to argue otherwise with us, we're prepared. We got the receipts to prove to them that it's a trap. And some get out, but they are what we say the exception and not the rule. And I don't ever want you to walk away feeling that, and I appreciate that you said it's not a shame, because shame, why? The people, or what should be ashamed is the system of how this system has been designed to create stories like yours. There are people out here who want to see what happened to you and your sons happen, and they are still perpetuating it every single day, and we're like fighting, tooth and nail to try to save our children.
And I want you to leave us with a word. There's some young kids in the streets. They young and they running around and they got guns and they got ops and they doing all of this stuff. And if somebody doesn't have a conversation, if some words don't get into their minds, they're either going to be in a graveyard or they're going to be in a prison cell. So I want you to act as if you're speaking to one of them young boys right now and just tell them what you would say to them.
I speak to them on the streets daily because I work downtown Newark. And I always say to them, this is my exact saying to them, if you don't get yourself together, or you need to get yourself together, or however it goes, whatever happens to you in this street, you're not going to know, you're not going to feel it in anything. Your family is going to be impacted by it. You don't want to hurt your mother because your mother loves you. You don't want to hurt your sister, your grandmother, and stuff like that. And whatever you do out here in these streets, just remember, it's going to impact your family. And take a look at me. You don't want your mother to end up looking like me or being hurt like myself. And some of them listen. And I'm going to say this. They don't give some of our black young men the accolades that they should, especially when they've been shot and killed by the hands of another black man. I never heard one time that, because my last two sons were killed senselessly for absolutely not a thing. And I'll take that to my grave with that. Because again, you can't be in denial about your kid, especially when your child is in the street. And I have to be honest, but my last son went to college. And through all the podcasts that I did, I look back and I said, son, you never acknowledged that. That's an accomplishment.
That's right.
For him and for myself.
That's right.
And like Tamika said, you have to acknowledge. You got to acknowledge sometimes. And I learned how to acknowledge my hurt. I had to learn how to acknowledge my hurt. Again, I'm not a superwoman, but I'm really going to try to help these children, the girls and the boys, because the young ladies out here, they're going through it because they're angry, they're mad. Some parents not there.
That's right.
But we want to get all of that together.
That's right, Miss Sonya. Well, we just want to say
get all of that together.
We truly appreciate you, and you are a superwoman to me. That's why I wanted to bring you on the show.
I love y'all. I love you guys, and I'm here anytime.
Your strength motivates me. The fact that you went through what you went through, and you still find the energy and the love to go out and still try to change this world. You didn't give up. So we appreciate you. We're here for you if you need us, as usual. Yes. Continue to be superwoman.
That's right.
Don't let nobody tell you you're not.
That's right. That's right. You're beautiful. Thank you so much for coming to be with us today.
Appreciate you.
Anytime. I couldn't let you guys down. I love y'all. And anytime you need me, I'm always here.
We got to have you in studio again next time.
That part. Tamika, continue to be the inspiration that you are.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And my son, you do the same thing.
I got you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Shout out to Miss Sonya Rogers. It's heartbreaking, but it's also inspirational to hear her story. That's why I wanted to have her on, and I've been trying to get her on. She's motivational. She still has a fight in her, and she still has, a lot of good energy. So I just, hopefully somebody hears her story, and understands how serious it is when we dealing with this gun violence in the streets. I daily deal with these young kids and have these conversations with them, but I want them to see that a mother lost their children. When you take somebody's life, that person's mother has to deal with it. If somebody takes your life, your mother has to deal with it. If you don't care about yourself, especially us as young men and men, period, we always supposed to think about our mothers and the women around us. So let's try to do better for them.
I know that's right. Let's try to do better. I'm glad she wasn't here because I think if she was supposed to be in studio with us, but I think that if she was here, I probably would have been a watershed over here because it's touching, and while she said it's happy tears because I know that a part of her just feels like she's just grateful to God that people care enough to have her on shows and talk to her and allow her to tell her story. And that's really all that some of these mothers want. They just want someone else to be inspired so that there doesn't have to continue to be these bricks falling from the foundation of our communities. Where do you know of white folks that say 3 of their children were killed in one family? 3? That's it. I don't think I've ever heard it.
Within a 2 to 3 year period, and one within 6 months of the other one.
Right.
That was
maybe it has happened, but I doubt it. And it doesn't mean that there are not families with multiple children where they have sons and or daughters who are in the street. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that there is not because you're not going to tell me that white kids are perfect. It's a community design. And we just have to say it and name it so that no one will, think that that this is okay and that it's just her fault. I appreciate that she's being honest about the conditions of the community and what her oldest son was into. At least acknowledging that he wasn't a perfect kid. But I'm sorry, I know a lot of other people who don't have perfect kids either, and their children are not being killed like this. So there's got to be something in the community as well.
It's definitely something in the community. So once again, shout out to Miss Sonya. She's in our prayers, and we hope she's in yours.
That's right.
And that brings me to my I don't get it. Now, we're talking about people losing their lives. We're talking about tragedy. We're talking about all of these things. Everyone knows about the fires inside L.A. It's been, the biggest tragedy. A lot of our friends live in L.A. They've lost houses.
All kind of
people,
stuff.
Family members. By the grace of God, there hasn't been as many fatalities as.
Well, it's growing every day.
So the other day it was 25 fatalities. I haven't checked today, but anyway. It's a global problem. Everybody is, doing what they can to help. I've seen shout out to Trader True, shout out to the game, shout out to all other people. People they're banding together as a community. They setting up shop. They have, tents. They got food. They got water. They got resources trying to give to the families. But what I don't get is that I heard that there are people out there actually setting fires. Like, why? What kind of sick person that you have to be to go out while thousands of homes are on fire already? Like, they got every firefighter in the world, people coming from around the world to help put out this fire. And you in the middle of the street trying to set fires. Like, what the hell is going on? Like, who are the people? I just want to know what is going through the mind of a person that sees that type of destruction around them and wants to contribute to that. Like, I don't even understand the mind state that comes with some shit like that.
Well, you said that there must be sick people or they must be sick people. And they are. I mean, there are people who have serious mental health issues, right? And I just want to provide 2 perspectives. The first one is that some people are motivated by money or what they think can happen if their entire community burns down. Perhaps they think that there's more insurance benefits for their community to be inhabitable, because some of the insurance companies are like, well, as long as there's 5 walls standing up in your home, then it can be fixed, it can be remodeled, and not just completely demolished. Like, crazy stuff is going on with the insurance companies. And there are some people who probably have set fires to just kind of demolish and or harm other people. Maybe they didn't like a neighbor all the time. Then there are people who are arsonists, who, like you said, have mental health. They're sick. There's something wrong with them. That's what they do. They set fires since they were kids. They always wanted to be the one setting fires. Some of these people set fires to their parents' house, their grandmother's house a long time ago. So that is another issue. Then you have people, okay? This is my unpopular opinion. You have people who are watching the destruction of folks who, even if they weren't super rich, they had some kind of means to be able to get a house and own it. Little bit. And they have nothing. And so they are willing to destroy any and everything around in order to hurt other people, because the system that we live in does not provide people with equal opportunity. It does not provide people with mental health services. It does not take care of all the citizens of America, all the people. And so what you have is some people that, just like somebody might look at you and you be saying, why did you rob that older lady, like an elderly lady? Why did you do that? But you got people out here that's like, oh, y'all not gonna be out here walking back and forth, drinking your latte and having good life, and we homeless and we ain't got nothing. So since fire is burning shit, let's burn it all down.
It's really disheartening to
It
know
is.
that there are people that hate that bad, right? There are people that don't want to see someone ahead of them or think that somebody has more, so they are that, envious in their heart.
Yes.
And it's really sad. When I heard that, I was watching the news and it was like, yeah, they're setting, they're arsonists and the people setting fires and they're being charged, and I'm like, people would be saying, like, you would think this is the time to band together. You would think that the whole city's on fire. You think everybody should be coming out trying to figure out how do we help, and actually know that there are people out there that are contributing and setting fires. It just blew my mind. So, I guess I'm naive to that because I don't even have an inkling of what it would feel like to want to contribute to that. There's nothing in me that can rationalize or even understand how a person would want to do that. So, but it's a special place in hell for those type of people.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%.
And with that being said, we come to the end of another episode. Shout out to Miss Sonya Rogers. Please pray for Miss Sonya Rogers.
Yes.
If you see her, give her a hug. I hope y'all listen to her. Have this conversation with these young boys when you're trying to change the mind state and the trajectory of what's going on in these communities. Let them hear her story. 3 sons, 3 of your sons gone within 2 to 3 years. That is painful, but just to see her continue to move and continue her thrive and her want to create an organization to combat that is just a superwoman. And that's what I said. She's a superwoman. So shout out to you, Miss Sonya. And Tamika, you have anything you want to say?
No, sir. Thank you.
Nothing at all?
It was a heartbreaking yet powerful interview.
Sure was. Well, that brings us to the end of another episode. Make sure you follow us and subscribe to our channel on YouTube at TMI Show PC. And leave a comment. We want to hear all the comments. We want to hear all of the love. We want to hear even the hate. Make sure that you tell us what you feel, because we're still the #1 show in the world, and that's because we're the best show in the world. Right? Come on. Give me some love. Come on.
Good night.
I'm not going to always be right. Tamika D. Mary's not going to always be wrong, but we will both always, and I mean always, be authentic.
Peace.
Salute.